Hey,
Hey,
hey.
how's it going?
All right. So if you clicked on this video, one, the title probably got you. But two, you might be interested in this channel. So if you're single and you're feeling like, where's my soulmate? Why hasn't he come? What's wrong with me? Why hasn't God answered my prayers? I've been waiting a long time. I've been praying. We understand. We feel you. We've been there. That's the story of our life.
Yes,
We were waiting for a long time.
absolutely, a very long time.
Yes. So, yep. So we're Terrence and Jill.
Yes, God-Ordained Union.
Mm-hmm.
We've been married for about almost 3 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we are excited to be here. Our mission is to help increase kingdom marriage.
Yep. So if we can inspire and encourage you, that's what we're here to do. We know how you feel. A lot of people don't, but I was 52 years old when I walked down the aisle. So I miss, quote unquote, miss motherhood. I don't want to keep saying that I miss motherhood, because I did not miss. God's perfect plan was done, but I never had any children, never had gotten married, and yeah, I refused to settle. And so once I gave it to God, it's like 48. Once I gave it to God, then this one showed up. So you're on the right channel. Make sure you subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribe.
Turn on all your notifications.
Turn on your notifications.
Share,
like.
Yes, we go live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yep. So join us live. So all right, this video is the subject of this video dropped in my spirit this morning, and when I woke up, it just dropped in my spirit. And every time something drops in my spirit, I always hear it confirmed with someone else. And so after I dropped in my spirit, I went on social media and I saw Wanda had posted the same thing. Wanda, I'm sure you're going to be on this video, or watching this video. And so, yeah, it just really, I was like, okay, Lord, I know you speaking. And the funny thing about this, okay, so we're talking about your mate gonna come suddenly, because it happens like that. The funny thing about it is that I've always been leery of the word suddenly, that things are going to happen suddenly. And I've always been leery because it seems like in my life, things don't happen suddenly. It seems like it didn't. But after this dropped in my spirit this morning, and after I heard that it was, heard that it was confirmed through another person, the Lord began to speak to me and say, it did happen. It did happen suddenly for you and Terrence. It did. It really did. Even though it was stretched out into phases, it did happen suddenly. And so, we just want to encourage you that you don't know how God is going to bring that person, your person. You don't know when, but I promise you, it's going to happen suddenly. One day you're going to be single, and the next day you're going to be off the market. It's going to happen suddenly. So I just want to share a little bit about testimony for those of you who don't know our story. We, in our playlist, we have, under our love story, there's a playlist. It has all of our videos, in the first 5 videos of how we met and all that. But I just want to let you know that, like, for those who have not watched that video, our relationship blossomed over like 5 phases. So the first phase was God making me aware of Terrence. The second phase, and that was like for a whole year and a half, that Terrence really didn't know who I was, but I knew who he was. And it wasn't until probably towards the end of that phase that Terrence came to know who I was. And those videos are in the playlist. The second phase is when Terrence slipped in my DM, and we began to have a long distance communication and talk over the phone, and texts and DMs and all of that. And that happened. That was like almost a year, maybe. Then the third phase is then when we met face to face, we met face to face, and we met face to face, and I guess we were in a relationship, but how we would say it was suddenly, because that phase from us meeting face to face to this going into the fourth phase, which was us getting engaged, was only 6 months. So the fourth phase is when we got engaged. That lasted for about 18 months. Mm-hmm. And then the fifth phase, of course, is when now that we're married. But I say that to say, because I never forget going into the second phase. Now, the first phase, I had no idea that I figured I've had faith all through the first phase. He was not aware of me that I knew of. He was not aware of me. We had a brief encounter, but he wasn't interested. So I thought. So that whole year and a half, I knew that he was the one, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. It was an impossible situation because he literally, his actions said that he was not interested. What happened suddenly was that one day I was sitting at my desk. I was sitting in my office and I got a DM. Suddenly, we went from him not being interested to him being totally interested. Suddenly. And so that's how God does things. He does it suddenly. And then now going to when we went from the stage of us talking on the phone to us meeting face to face. The day we started, we were talking on the phone. The end of the time we were just talking on the phone, hadn't met face to face. When he came to meet me, suddenly it was like a whole new, like we went into this, we talked every single day after that. We were never apart, other than, of course, working and us, but we were always, every weekend we were together. And then out of nowhere, like this, we got engaged. Now that blew my mind. You talking about, I'm like, we didn't even establish that we were girlfriend and boyfriend. I had no idea this man, suddenly.
I'm laughing because I want to share something with y'all. The whole reason why that worked is because we didn't put any expectations on it. We didn't tell God how to do it. We didn't tell God what it was supposed to look like. We didn't tell God how we needed it to be a certain way. God was God, and he orchestrated it in the way he wanted to orchestrate it. So it works out for both of us. And yes, and it worked out.
Yeah. And even this, telling our story, God has your own love story planned for you. The power of love is so powerful. You can't figure it out with your logic or in your mind. You cannot figure it out. Yep. You cannot figure it out. And so we talked about the other day on our live, we talked about coming into agreement. And once you come into agreement, like with this word, Amos 9:13, that is going to happen suddenly, that it'll make your head spin. That's the word. That's the word of God. And it says blessings on blessings on blessings. And that's what happened from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3 to phase 4. It happened so fast. It made my head spin. From the time we met face to face to the time we got engaged, it made my head spin. Like, what the heck? And so when we talked about the other day of coming into agreement with God's word, let me tell you something. We had named a couple of scriptures because we were saying you got to come into agreement. First of all, that God is God. Yeah. That second is that God is love, and you got to then come in agreement with that God is the word. The word says that God is the word, and so some of the scriptures that we gave under God is the word. There was like 5 scriptures, but we want to add on tonight, like come into agreement that all things are possible.
Yeah.
You got to come into agreement that God will do exceedingly and abundantly above all you can think or imagine. If you just come into agreement with his word, then let him do what he going to do. Because none of us have the same love story.
None of us.
None of us. It's so unique to each person. I know of people who one day they were single and then the next day somebody just saying, I want to introduce you to my cousin, or I want to introduce you to my brother, or a co-worker. Somebody just started. Look at Michelle and Barack. He came to work at her job as the intern. You just don't know how God is going to do it. But it happens suddenly. Tomorrow you can go to work and a new coworker, or you get a new, there's a new hire that could be your husband.
Yeah.
You just don't know. You could meet him in the grocery store or at the gas station or at church or at the light. You just don't know. It can happen like that. And so,
yeah, come to rest in God and his word to the point to where you're not worried about being married, because you know it's going to happen, because he says, if you want it, let him know you want it. He created marriage. He ordains it. So he has someone just for you. And here's the thing. He's already working on it. He's already behind the scenes working on it. And you're not even aware that you're about to be introduced to someone.
All I can say is watch what you say out your mouth, because you don't want something and then kill it with your negative talk. Watch what you say out your mouth. I promise you, it's going to come like this. One day you're going to be single and the next day you're going to be in a relationship. It's going to come like that. And it can happen tonight.
And don't compare your story to anybody else's. Don't say, well, I know a friend that did this, this, and that, and I want mine to be the same way. Be careful what you wish for.
Yes. It could literally happen tonight. You could be watching this video, get ready to go to bed, and somebody call you, girl, it can happen tonight. Somebody can slip in your DMs that you don't know who's been watching you. That's exactly what happens. I'm thinking it was I felt something in my spirit that he was the one. But again, it looked like an impossible situation. I had no idea that this man was watching me for 6 months or however long it was. I had no idea. When he slipped into my DM, it was on November 12th. Who would have thought that I was going to be in a whole love interest for the holidays? You just don't know.
You just don't know.
Somebody can slip in your DM as you're watching this video. They can slip in your DM and say, I've been watching you. I've been watching you, and it's something about you that I like, that I would like to get to know you. You just don't know. All things are possible. And I promise you, it's going to happen suddenly for you. It's going to happen suddenly. You put your petitions, you made it known, you put your prayer out there, you're rested in God, you've come into agreement with his word that he can do anything, that he is all knowing and all powerful. Watch what he does. Yeah. Watch what he does. I can't make this up.
And when you get used to hearing him and you get used to stepping out on faith, as you hear him say move and you move, it's going to come even faster. Because now you're going to be aware of what it sounds like, what it looks like when he's speaking to you, when he's ordering your steps. In the beginning, you might think, well, was that him? Was it? Well, I ain't sure. But once you get into the habit of listening and you start to say, you know what, that is his voice, then it's going to come faster and faster.
Yeah. Rest in him, stand in agreement with his word, and watch what he does. You're going to be like, what the heck?
Don't worry about the surroundings, what's going on in your neighborhood, what's going on at your job. Don't worry about none of that can stop God from doing what he's going to do.
Nothing. Nothing.
None of that's going to stop.
Only thing that can stop God is you, because God gives us free will. So watch what you're saying.
Yeah.
Watch what you're saying. Don't kill. Don't abort the baby.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Because when we first started, it was during the pandemic.
Yes.
And I remember us talking on the phone, and she saying to me, "We finally met after all this time, and the pandemic's going to keep us apart." I said, "Nope."
Nope.
I said, "Nope."
He said,
"It sure
nope,
isn't."
It's not. It's not. And it was like we went from, like I said, we never even were boyfriend.
It wasn't even about giving it a name.
Yeah,
it wasn't
we
about
weren't
saying
even,
we was going steady or we're dating
right.
or we're girlfriend,
We
boyfriend.
literally I went from, and we got many videos we talk about, I went from us getting to know each other to us being engaged. I'm like, when he proposed, when Terrence proposed, I was like, wait a minute, we skipped over a step. We didn't say we were girlfriend and boyfriend. It happened that fast, like that.
Don't put any titles on it. Just allow God to do what God does.
Rest in it. Even in this stage right now that you don't know what's happening, it's a part of the love story.
Yes.
Even this part right here is, and I was telling my husband, I was saying, as far as our relationship, why it felt like it was long, like it was a process, is because a lot of people don't have that first phase that some of us have. And then that's that first phase of God showing you who he is, who the person is. A lot of people go immediately to the second phase of when someone just shows up. But that was not that was not the beginning for us. The beginning is when I saw Terrence first, and that whole year and a half, I was like in torture. God was working patience in me. God showed me who he was. And yeah, I felt like I was in it by myself. But I was fighting a good fight of faith. I was faithing it out. I was praying, fasting, on my face. I was like, who is this guy? Like, Lord, show me more. Show me more. What am I was so intense. And so a lot of people don't have that first phase. And so thank God that I passed the test, because I could have aborted it. And because we have free will. But it start each phase was the crossover to each phase was very sudden. It was like boom. It was very sudden.
Yeah, you got to be obedient. The one thing I think she doesn't take credit for is how obedient she was. Because for her, you got to remember, she was committed long before I was, because God showed her first. So she stayed in it. She didn't let anything distract her. So all those other phases could even be possible.
I could have aborted it. Yeah.
She could have spoken to the wrong friend or something, and they talked her out of it, or anything like that could have happened. We could have said during the pandemic, well, it's a pandemic, we're long distance. We could have said, always me, the timing is off. No, we left it in God's hands, and we did whatever God allowed us and told us to do. And everything went smooth sailing from one to the next, to the next, to the next.
That's what the word says. Blessings, the blessings, the blessings, the blessings.
We never doubted.
Blessings to blessings. That's what Amos 9, 13 through 15 says. He said, I'm going to do it suddenly.
Yes.
Suddenly. And you're going to go from blessings to blessings. He says suddenly, it's going to be so quick. It's going to make your head spin. That's what the Message version says. It's going to make your head spin. It's going, and then you're going to go from blessings to blessings to blessings to blessings. So let God do what God does.
Yes.
Surrender and submit to his authority. Come into agreement with him in his word. Agree that he's God.
Stop trying to control the narrative.
Stop trying to control the narrative.
Stop trying to make it happen the way you want it to happen.
And how it should be. And he got to do this. And he's got to have this. And he's got to be
your
this.
time frame.
And
God's timing is never wrong.
Never wrong. Never, ever wrong. So I hope this encourages you. If it does, drop us some comments and say, he
Yes.
talking about me. You believe it's going to
Yes.
happen suddenly for you. You
Yes.
believe it's going to happen suddenly. So we stand in agreement with you
Yes.
because we believe that it's going to, as a lot of you are going to get it this year.
It's already in motion.
Yes, God
It's
already has that person for you. Or he or she already exists.
Yes.
So, yep. So all right.
You guys enjoy, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes, we'll see you on the next one. Be blessed.
Deuces.
Deuces.